Our adventure begins today right here off of this dirt road that's running parallel to Interstate 17. This is the start of the Bloody Basin Road. Hello again, friends. This is Glenn and Slim with the Cactus Atlas, and today we're going to take you on an adventure down the Bloody Basin Road. For those of you new to this show, this is Slim, my traveling companion, my off-road vehicle that helps us get to these regions beyond. How you doing there, old Slim? I'm doing good today, buddy. How are you? I'm doing good, thanks for asking. And this is one of many dispersed campsites that you'll find off of this road, but I don't know why you'd want to camp right off of the interstate like that. That would suck. Not for me, but maybe if you're in an RV or something. All right, well, this isn't very interesting. You see the landscape beyond. We're going way out that way, many miles. And once we get in the car, I'll explain a little bit more of what I expect to see along the way. All right, down Bloody Basin we go. Let's see what we find. The beginning of Bloody Basin Road is quite simple. I don't know if we've ever actually officially filmed this on the Cactus. Actually, we did film this when we were at Agua Fria National Monument exploring Pueblo La Plata. You would have seen a little bit of this, but we're going to be going way past where we went. So some of this may seem familiar to some of you, but this time I'm hoping to make it a little bit more adventurous. The thing that I think is going to make this adventurous, the thing that I'm kind of excited about, but kind of not, would be the one river fording across, and then a creek. The creek's going to be our first, and I forget the name of the creek. I'll tell you a little story though. Amy and I were back here a couple weeks ago, right after some rains and snows, and I thought we could make it across, and I saw some people do it, but Amy was a little nervous and said, not really up for that today, so we aborted the mission. And when we get to the crossing, I'm gonna get off on foot and we'll survey it together. I wanna say in that other video we did, I stopped somewhere up here, maybe at this very spot, and got footage. So maybe it'll be interesting to just get off on foot and show you guys the view looking back towards 17 to acclimate you a little bit. Maybe we'll go stand upon this boulder here, if I can get to it. It is about prime time for rattlesnake season here. It's March, mid-March, and this is when they're very active and they come out. So I'm being very cautious over in a place like this, but there's your view. You can see folks get big rigs out here to either stage off of for their off-roading or camping. See a lot of RVs that take it up to this point. So if you have a pretty big rig, there's a few washboards, but you know, I would say it's doable, and you should be able to see Interstate 17 out beyond. I'm not zoomed in with this thing, but it is not far, and that's where Bloody Basin really starts, is right off of I-17. I can tell you from experience, there's some elevation changes, and you know, it does get a lot rougher once we passed one point. There's a ranch. Probably the reason why this road is so well maintained, because beyond that it gets a lot bumpier. And because this is a tempting one for passenger vehicles to make their way up at least somewhat of the ways, just giving you a view of the road. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I think I'm going to stay out of the business of that, giving recommendations, but you know, if you wanted to do it, I mean, so far this is the beginning of it, a few miles in. So at the very least you could get off the highway, stretch your legs, and get some nice pictures, especially if you're not from this region and this is very novel for you. And then peering off on this hill, you could see prickly pear all over the hillside. This is the land of the prickly pear. As we've learned exploring Agua Fria down in the canyons, you may find saguaro facing, especially southern facing slopes, it seems to be. But other than that, up here, yeah, you have just dead grass usually and prickly pear. We also are going to be going over into the Tonto National Forest as part of this road trip, if I'm not mistaken. You start off in Agua Fria, and then eventually you cross into the Tonto. And there's something cool at the end that is the destination today, and I'll explain that as we make our way up the road. But there is something that I thought was pretty cool at the end of this. All right, you could see as we reach the top of this hill, still a piece of cake in terms of driving. Not a problem at all. Oh yeah, look at how vast that landscape is in front of us. That is beautiful. So yeah, this is the Bloody Basin Road, as it were. There's legends and stories around why they call it that, which we will explore together. I'll give up some of the goods as we head on down here. But yeah, so far the road is in excellent condition. There's another fellow off-roader doing their thing. Yeah, we're still making our way around this beautiful landscape. You could see the road stretching on for miles in this region here. It's absolutely beautiful. I still don't know why I used to think this would have been ugly back here and not worth seeing. This is considered, I think, one of Arizona's premier off-road scenic drives. One of many, though, so many to count. So saying that, you know, is it's got a lot of competition, of course, but I think you'll see why the further and further we go back here, why this area is so beautiful. Oh yeah, there's that ranch, by the way, at the bottom of the hill there, signifying that we're coming up on our first creek crossing. You can actually see a lot of green trees. It's interesting because I think just a few weeks ago I did not see any leaves on the trees, so spring in Arizona happens early. I do have a visual on the creek off to my left, and the water is brown, meaning it's probably flowing pretty good. Is it flowing more than last time or not is the real question. All right, so here's what we're dealing with, and to me, I think it looks a little less than when Amy and I were here a couple weeks ago. Not by much. It looks probably pretty rough, but I assure you, it's paved, so it's very flat and paved all the way through. We just saw a Jeep get through it, and I have about the same clearance as that, so no problem, but it is beautiful back here and worth exploring a little bit. I think what makes it look a lot more is that just because of that paved area, it causes the water to kind of do that and create a rapid there. The sound of running water for a Phoenician is something special. Here we go. Got her in four-wheel drive. I don't think we need to lock the diffs for this, although sometimes it is recommended to when you cross a stream, but here we go. Oh yeah, no problem. No problem. All right, well, that was crossing number one. That's probably the least worrisome in my mind. The Agua Fria River, I would think would be more than that. Oh, wait a second. That was the Agua Fria River. My bad. Duh. Okay. I thought that was one of the creeks, so I think that's our only crossing then. No problem. Sorry if I got you all excited. Maybe there is another one coming up, but what you will start to see, though, is the how the road changes and gets a little bit bumpier as we head on. And we're not done with the water either, but how cool is that? And there are lots of side roads and all sorts of places to explore back here, especially if you're into finding hundreds into the close to 1,000-year-old Indian, what they call pueblos, or these pueblo-like remains in this whole area by a culture called the Perry Mesa culture. One that we've studied a little bit on the Cactus Atlas on previous episodes. So if you haven't seen those, go check those out. Been to some pretty cool places, but I think I'm gonna go over here. There's a little bathroom. I don't have to use it, but little area to kind of change some batteries in my stuff and prepare for the next leg of the journey. All right, I put some sunblock on, much needed sunblock, and we have a long way to go on this bloody Basin Road. I've been stopping and dilly-dallying, so it's already 3 o'clock. We'll probably have a good solid 3 hours of sunlight here. So I think it's only 23 miles to Bloody Basin from 17. But I need to shut up, and we'll just keep driving through the plateau here since you've seen it all before, and I'll catch up with you down the road. Now that is exquisitely quiet, other than the wind, or breeze I should say. And we're departing the Agua Fria National Monument and about to cross over into the Tonto National Forest, for which I saw a sign a little bit down the road. So I'll get a selfie at both sides. Cleanliness check of Slim. I would call this a spritz of mud, like we were talking about the spritz of water earlier. This is me trying to avoid puddles. But, you know, if you come back here, that's probably the cleanest you're gonna look. Wouldn't feel proper if we didn't get a picture of the Tonto National Forest sign. U.S. Department of Agriculture. So now, we got a long way to go. I'm still not even thinking we're 25% on the way of the journey, so I need to do some real driving. I keep saying that. Wow, the scenic factor has multiplied quickly back here. See some like pink rocks on the landscape and all that lush green. You can see creeks winding through the landscape. And the landscape we just drove through were those like boulders poking up. And the road's starting to turn more rouge as we proceed here. Yeah, this is getting pretty bumpy up here. But we gotta be nearing the top. We just gotta. This is the Bloody Basin. And you got to be really careful because there was a sign back there that said the road width varies, and it certainly does. Amy and I have taken the other direction out of here once before, but there's a couple small spots to pull off of, but probably best to make movement here soon so we don't get in the way and cause problems. But yeah, Bloody Basin, and you can see the road way down below. Wow. Coming down off this hilltop though is like driving down into what I perceive might look like heaven. Yeah, it's a bumpy, curvy, awesome road, but gotta be careful. We're gonna be changing directions here and there, so you'll get to face out towards the basin here shortly, but there are some really steep, rutted spots in this place. Boy, oh boy. But you gotta be really careful and keep your eyes on the road here for sure, because some of those side-by-sides come zipping through here like nobody's business, or dirt bikes especially are very nimble and can get through here. Whoa. There's like a rail here too. What I didn't show you on the drone is just how steep this is actually. Whew, it's fun times here. And the views are so spectacular. This is such a beautiful country back here. Road's not too bad on this side, I'd say. That was an abrupt drop down into this really deep basin here. A lot of red dirt, red coloration. Like I said, I think one of the ways this area got its name, but there are of course legends, maybe mixed with historical fact. I'm not quite sure and studied up on it, but one of the legends goes that the name Bloody Basin got its name from a nearby battle between, I believe, U.S. cavalry or soldiers and the Apache. I want to say the Battle of Trumpet Hill or something like that, but the legend goes that Apaches jumped to their deaths and their blood stained the soil. Another one was that the battle was just bloody and there were a lot of women and children killed and weren't suspecting it, so that's another name I heard, but none of this is confirmed. This was just quick internet research, Wikipedia level, not too much better than that. My personal guess is it's probably due to the coloration of the soil. I had to pull over and give you a view, so that's really when we came down off the mesas up there. Although it was kind of up and down, we very quickly descended down that, and you can look out this way and just see all that red coloration we were viewing. Like really beautiful drive coming down that. And one, a lot of people just don't get to see because they don't have the right vehicle to do that. And without pointing into the sun too much, I kind of have to because it's just the grass is glistening out here. And you just see canyons out there with like red rocks, lush green and pinyon pine, and really pointy, craggly peaks out that way. Somewhere down south this way is Phoenix. But really out here, all I hear is the howling of the wind out on this very exposed area. Boy, is it beautiful out here. Man, this is awesome. It's worth it just to come here. Although I think I'm only halfway, to be honest with you, to the actual destination. My goodness. Slow going here. And now we're just heading towards our destination, and I'm worried about time. It's already almost 5. So will I even make it to my destination by sunset? I don't know. And will I have to drive this whole thing back in the dark, or will I take an alternate route? So many unanswered questions. But it's too late now. It's too late now. It adds to the adventure, I would say. All right, we find ourselves at a crossroads. Amy would remember Forest Road 24. That would take you back towards Carefree and Cave Creek, Arizona. We came from this way, so when Amy and I took this, we came the other direction. When we saw all that cool fall color back there, those episodes I filmed for Thanksgiving, it was down that road. And then we turned and went back this way towards 17. The other option is to continue down this road for another 12 miles, it looks like, to get to the Verde River, which is where that crossing is, I believe. So, but the thing is, whew, that's 12 miles in, 12 miles back, 24 miles, which I think the whole thing to get from 17 to where I'm going is that much. So it's like, this is a decision point, actually. The sheep bridge might have to wait. So you could see that's the exit towards 17, and we got a ways to go. I mean, we've been cruising down here. Here's that sheep bridge, our ultimate destination. I'm trying to find a "You Are Here" sign. There's 24. So where are we? Are we here? You know, it's like, this is the Bloody Basin. So we're not going to be in the Bloody Basin too much longer. So part of me is like, did we satisfy our mission on this one? I'm looking for excuses. Okay, so I think what I seriously really need to do is like make a beeline for the destination. If I haven't said what the destination is yet by now, what it's supposed to be is like an old sheep's crossing, like a bridge out in the middle of nowhere that crosses a river or stream that was rebuilt, I want to say, at one point, maybe as late as the 1990s, but it's a historic crossing, historic bridge, just I think called the Sheep's Bridge. And I honestly don't know what the rest of the ride's gonna look like, but I mean, you see, I mean, I could just keep stopping every 5 minutes and take photos and film, but I'm never gonna get there. You know, I'm losing daylight fast, and nothing that I read to prepare for this could have prepared me for just how rocky and bumpy this is, and you have to be really careful back here. Really sharp rock, and I'm crawling at like 5 miles an hour, so this last 10-11 miles, you know, could be like a 2-hour adventure at this rate. So I'm really starting to question, are we nearing the end of the episode here? Because I can see on my offline map I've got a long way to go. I still have easily 8 miles, I should say, till we get there. I vastly underestimated this. I think I saw it was 24 miles, and I didn't really realize how bumpy it is back here. You could see me. I mean, this is crazy. This has been the worst part of the road. So once you get to that like 11-mile point, you're going to be crawling. So I should have started several hours earlier than I did. It's like an old, like, broken down car here. Someone got their Chevy back here. Look at that. I have to check this thing out and see what this is all about here. What the heck happened here and why? So this is what happens, folks, when you make bad decisions. We gotta take a peek in here too and see what's going on. I wonder how long this has been back here. Windshield's busted in, everything's busted in real good. So people have had their fun with us. But I'm hoping I got enough sweet footage for the Saturday afternoon drive, and we're gonna have to come back and do something again. Maybe take a different route, but we're gonna see that bridge. We're so close yet so far. All right, friends, this is the next day. I was not deterred. I had to abort the mission because it was gonna be dark by the time I realistically would reach this place. Even though 8 miles sounds like 8 miles, 8 miles going like 3 to 5 miles an hour is a different story. Couple comments about the road conditions here. When I went home yesterday, I did some more research about what we're going to see, just so I could be a little bit more intelligent if they don't have any signage. And in reading that, I was reading that this road, the way it was portrayed on a couple websites is like, you know, passenger vehicles, it's a little bumpy on the final approach. Are you freaking kidding me? This is just one of those rare videos where it's really filmed from the vehicle, you know? It's not me on foot blabbing, but you get the cool views out the front, and you got to hear my mouth running. But you could see the road here, man. Like, who in their right mind, wherever I read that, I need to correct that. Or maybe rains made it worse, and it wasn't like this a few years ago or something like that. But this has been non-stop, very bumpy, at times I would say sharp rock. So you want to have heavy duty tires and don't attempt this in anything less, and you will see. I'll remind you of that reason why as we drive by it again. Remember that shot up car? Well, there you go. Yeah, you see this? You're gonna bring your PT Cruiser back here. Boy, is that rocky, man. And we are officially now past the point we were when we stopped yesterday. You know, some of the hillsides that I see that are further off have really bright orange on them, so poppies within the range of drone and line of sight for me here. But I think I found a spot worthy of maybe giving a attempt to later. It's also like a weird overcast day, so maybe that's lending to making it pop more, ironically. Hopefully I'm right about them being poppies. I'm pretty certain that's correct. But anyway, I need to stop, stopping, and I don't intend on getting on foot until we get to our destination, because there's lots to film down there too. But how can you not? I mean, might make this a little bit lengthier of an episode perhaps, but whatever. And then you see the road actually just going on and on and on towards the Verde River, which is probably, I'm gonna guess, like butted up against those mountains there. There's a wide variety of lush stuff out here. You got ocotillo, they're starting to get their leaves, and all of the flowers, and then these gigantic mountains here right up against me. Such a paradise on earth. This is also a dispersed camping site here, and really rocky terrain, so for a tent camper it might suck, although I have a cot so I could handle it. It's pretty level, and you can see there's a little campfire ring here, and this would be your scenery. Yeah, I might be done with like national park campgrounds for a while, folks. This might be the new thing here. Yeah, man, this is just brutal. It really is. But yeah, just look at these views, man. That is towering over us, those cliffs. Easily over 1,000 feet high. Now it's starting to get a little muddier back here than other places, curiously. And it feels like there's gonna be a reveal here, and I think there is. There's just a beautiful valley down below. Yeah, and that is picture worthy. So what am I gonna do here? I gotta pull over. All right, I pulled over once again so we can get a look at the road below. But more importantly, I found now, whatever these purple flowers are, not only this, but I just found a very picture worthy spot. And then something else I want to point out. And you don't get really too many chances to pull over, but look at this shot right here. I'm gonna get my other camera out. I am so not a photographer though that I need to learn, but with that hill in the background, at least give me that I have an eye for what could make a good photo. But I'm gonna do my best. And if you wanna check that out, we have an Instagram page, by the way, where we post some of my attempts at photography, but Amy is the doctor. This might be a drone-worthy spot too, I think, because look at that landscape there behind me. Thousands of saguaro. Amazing how lush the deserts get in the springtime too. A lot of these grasses, which worry me because it could serve as kindling for wildfires, and now that I'm out here seeing the strong potential for that. You know, people can make campfires and stuff out here. It gets windy and poof, up it goes. But they usually have fire restrictions in a lot of places in Arizona during the summer months. But last night there were a lot of people with campfires, and they looked really inviting, actually. It's like I feel like I'm, recording way too much of this, and of course Amy can edit out what she doesn't want, but it's just the views that I'm seeing. You know, we're pointing forward. It's just, that's really what I'm trying to deliver here. Yep, and with the descent, you got the the shelf here, the edge of the road, the steep drops, making you want to stay towards the middle where it's rockier. And you can see the road, the switchbacks in front of us here. Yeah, and we're back, like I said, very much in the land of the saguaro. Like, the conditions down here must be superb for them, because I see some of the biggest I've seen in a long time. There's a gigantic one off to the left. I wish I could point the camera that way, but we're gonna maybe catch it on the way around. I don't know. But all of them up on the hillside, I mean, even that one kind of straight ahead, many arms. They must be ancient. Look at that. I think with all the rain and stuff too, they absorb a lot of that water and they plump up. I want to say hundreds of pounds worth of liquids, maybe more. Oh my word. I was going to say something different. You can hear the river raging down there from here, rapids, from way up here. And you can see the campground that I read about. Just, I think there's more dispersed camping there, a few campers. There's the bridge, look at that. How is that not a sight? Wow, from way up here, that's our destination, folks, and we're gonna walk across it too. That is the cattle bridge. Yeah, so we have less than a mile to go. This has been epic. I mean, I mean, let's see what time it is now. It's 11:11. So I know at one point I said like 10:20. So almost an hour later and just a few miles down the road. I mean, this was a hell of a drive. And there's just like random red boulders here. Just in this one little spot, I guess. Maybe all of it's red underneath and it's exposed now with beautiful saguaro growing out of that landscape. That's wonderful. This is Arizona, folks. This is the real Arizona. Yeah, and there's the final drive down, just, I assume, straight at it, so we should be there in minutes. All right, let's get down there before more people show up. This has been a freaking epic journey, like 2 days worth of filming. So one lesson I learned too is I don't even know if I could do this all in one day, even if I started early, when I take into account the filming, the flying the drone, all of that. This has been like, I can't even explain how long this has been. Having to come out here twice too, keep that in mind. 2 days in a row, albeit not this far. And look at that red boulder landscape right there with a saguaro. You're gonna get a really good look at that here as we drive by it. Man, that is just remarkable. Another note too is down here are supposed to be hot springs too. I read about that last night. So I'll see if I can find them, but I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if people are soaking in it, and I may not be able to without invading privacy and being weird. So we'll see how that goes. But do note, there are supposed to be hot springs pretty near, I think, upstream on this side, I want to say, of the bank. I could have that completely wrong. It is pinned on Google though. Someone pinned it, so it is locatable. There she is, the bridge that's been eluding me this whole time. We found you. We persisted, and we did it, folks, together. You guys have come along for this journey, so you are to be commended also. I did not do it alone. Here we are, folks, at the Sheep's Bridge, the rebuilt Sheep's Bridge, but the original foundation to the original bridge is located off to the right. Yes, there were two bridges. The one you see in front of you was rebuilt in 1989. You can see there's fishing here, but there are some protected species. But take a look at that, folks. Oh man, this is amazing. So this basically, my understanding is that original bridge that would have crossed over, you could see the old foundation in wood. I think that was built in the 40s. And this was for, and still is, I think, to get sheep and cattle across the river. And you can really see the Verde River flowing with all of the snow melt from the higher elevations. You can see how muddy it is right now. I think I've seen videos in different states, and it usually, I don't think, flows this much. You could see entire trees engulfed by the stream down there. And then on that back hill, once again, all those lush saguaro, wildlife. And I imagine somewhere in there is probably your hot spring, which we can go search for later. So a couple comments off the bat. I mean, I thought this was gonna be okay. I was like, ooh. When you combine everything, the length of the bridge is really impressive. It didn't look like that on video when I've seen that. It's an impressive structure. So that alone, out in the middle of this desolate place, you saw how we got here. So unless there's some other roads that I don't know about, kudos to whoever built this thing and got all the materials up that crazy ass road. Woo. And there's more red rock here at the end of this Sheep's Bridge. And there are like swallows or something. I don't know, they got like orangish looking tails, like at least little spots of orange and dark gray. Try to track one of these guys here. What are you guys doing? I've not seen your like before, your kind. What are you? You'd think this bridge would have some give and it would like bob up and down or whatever, but it feels solid. It does not do that. I wonder if there were cattle or something crossing this, if that would be different. Like that'd be kind of weird to be in line, like in the middle of a line of cattle or sheep crossing this thing. We crossed two rivers, the Agua Fria and the Verde. Two river crossings technically, one in the truck and one on foot across this bridge. Let's go explore this view over this way. Ouch. Watch your step, folks. You can see where they drilled in the rock at some point, and you can actually see one of these large steel cables. That's an interesting shot to see from this angle here. There's your money shot of the day, I would say. That is the view. And you can see the cable bolted there to the rock directly in. And then you could see the fast moving Agua Fria, flooding its banks too. Like those areas there flooded over. So I'm sure the natives that used to live in this area, when they say these types of rivers would flood the banks and bring silt and make farming good, it's probably this time of the year and this very phenomenon that made that happen. Oh, here's a commemorative plaque. The old Verde Sheep Bridge. See, I wasn't lying to you. There's a picture of the old school one. Wow, would you guys trust that? So basically this was an obstacle for sheep outfits that used the pastures along the river, so they had to basically build this thing back in the day for those purposes. But look at the picture of all the sheep, hundreds of them crossing that. Wow. There's some kind of old wall out here too. Presumably built by the old timers, I'm gonna guess. We'll take a quick nature walk through the lush desert here into the Mazatzal wilderness. I'm saying, probably butchering the pronunciation on that one, and I'm sure I'll be corrected if I am. Here's an interesting view, perhaps, of the Verde from this angle here. This is that flood area. I would have to imagine this normally isn't covered in water, and that's the overflowing of the banks. So I wonder if farmers back in the day, natives or not, could utilize that land for that. It's very flat. But it also could wipe out your crops, I assume, too, if there's like a good monsoon storm. And there's like a crane or something. Maybe it was a duck, I couldn't tell. Another sight you don't see a lot of here in Arizona. So it looks like the area beyond was damaged by fire at some point, so they're warning you erosion and things create hazards. So I'm not gonna go too much further down here. The point was to come see the bridge, and I'm sure this episode's gonna be long enough. But I wanna round this corner and take a look at these cliffs. And at least say we walked into some wilderness on this trip, and look how beautifully green and lush that is down there once again. And here's the view of the river of the day. That is what Doc Holliday would call a daisy. I'm sure of it. Well, the Val Kilmer version, anyway. Are there any herpetologists out there or biologists that would be able to answer like this kind of question? If, you know, statistically, if you took a sample, like if you could take all of the organic material out of here, like, and let's just say you, like anything visible in range all the way up to the hilltop, into the rocks, into the earth, and dig out all of the organic material till there was none left, how many rattlesnakes would be in your final count? Let's take some guesses here. Are we talking in the tens, the 50s, the hundreds? Certainly not the thousands. Please don't tell me the thousands. Gee, Glenn, you sure do know how to stall a good time, huh? With thoughts like that. But seriously, it is an interesting thought. One that I don't know if I'd want the answer to, but certainly there probably is an answer. All right, folks, this has been an exquisite journey for me. I don't know if the final edit will let you know how epic it's been for Slim and I, but keep this in mind. He and I are only halfway done, and you get to take this stop. But we will be back to pick you up next week, so be sure to drop back on in. See you next time.